you live alone?
All right, guys, good morning. What I'm going to do today, we're going to do some decimal review, and we're going to talk about kind of all things decimals today. So what I did, and I know sometimes the word problems can be a little bit tricky, so I've incorporated both a word problem and decimals into this one. So if we read this, it says you buy the following grocery items this week. 1 pound of butter for $2.59, 3 pounds of potatoes for $1.49, a 14-ounce box of cereal for $3.79, and a loaf of bread for $2.29. Okay. So what it's going to ask you to do is find out how much you spent on your groceries this week. So what you're going to do, it's going to be an addition problem for decimals here. So we'll just put these in order. So first thing we spent was pound of butter, it's $2.59. Then we spent $1.49 on the potatoes. The cereal was $3.79, and the loaf of bread was $2.29. And the thing when you're doing decimals, you guys, you always want to line up the decimal points so you can see all the decimals are in line right here. Okay. Then what we're going to do is just a straight addition problem. And it's just ironic that all the last numbers are 9. So it's going to be 9, 18, 27, 36. Put a 6 down here. Carry the 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. That's 12, 19, 21. Carry the 2. 2, 4, 5, 8, 10. So you spent $10.16 on your grocery list this week. And the next question I would ask you is, what is the difference between the butter and the potatoes? So we go back up, look up here. So butter was $2.59, and potatoes was $1.49. And one thing I'll get to it in a second. It's that difference. So a lot of times people get tripped up by that. What difference means is subtraction. And we'll go over that in a second. But if you hear like difference, that means you're going to subtract. So really what this would be is 0, 1. It'd be $1.10. So the butter cost $1.10 more than the potatoes. Okay. So once again, if you look real closely, the decimals are always going to be lined up when we add or subtract. Okay. So keep that in mind. So what I want to do now is I just want to talk about some vocabulary that you might get in these word problems. Okay. So if you see the word, which comes up quite a bit, find the sum. What the sum means is you're going to be adding numbers. So if you ever get a question that says find the sum, that should clue you off that I need to do some adding. So sum is addition. Okay. And the next one we just talked about says find the difference. That's going to be subtracting numbers. So we have sum is adding, difference is subtracting. Then you might hear, let me get rid of that. You might say, find the quotient. And what quotient means is dividing numbers. Okay, So we have so far the sum, which is adding, difference is subtracting, find the quotient is dividing, and the last one you might see in a word problem is find the product. And that means multiplying. So product is multiplying, quotient is dividing, difference is subtracting, and sum is adding. Okay, so those are always going to be key. So if you get a word problem, it says find the sum of these items. Okay, you know you're going to basically add them. If there's a word difference in the word problem, that is going to mean subtract. If you see quotient, that's going to kind of let you know you need to divide. And then if you see the word product, it's going to mean multiply. Okay, I want to do two more things. And it's going to be whole numbers. And whole numbers are positive numbers with written 0 through 9. So that could be anything like a whole number could be 1, 0, 70, 77, 97. You see it's got any whole number is going to be written with 0 through 9. Okay. So a lot of times whole numbers means it's more than 0. Okay. And the last one I want to talk about is what place value means, because we're going to talk about place value in a second. Place value. And that's numbers between negative 100 and positive 100. So let's go to place value right now, okay? Because I want to talk about place value. And I think we've done this before, but I want to make sure that we all understand it because it's really important we do decimals. So place value. So if we have a number line.
Of course. Yes. When you come in, we're on the third floor. You get the first elevator when you come in.
And
To your left.
Right in the middle, we'll say is 0. That's going to be 0. And if we're doing place value, the first place value going to the left is going to be the ones place. So that would be numbers like 1 through 9. And then you're going to next, that's going to be the tens place. And that's going to be 10 through 99. Then you have the hundreds. And that's going to be 100 to 999. And then let me erase this arrow. I didn't go out quite far enough. Then this next place, these are all places right here, would be the thousands. And that's going to be 1,000 up until 99,000. Okay. But then when we get to the other side of the decimal, we have, in decimals, we call it the tenths. And the next place we have is the hundreds. Hundreds, it's THS. And then the next place would be the thousands. Okay, so this is going to be a decimal from 0.1 through 0.9, and hundredths would be 0.10 to 0.99, and then the thousandths would be 0.100 up until 0.999. Okay, so when we do decimals in whole numbers, you have to remember, so if we do basically, if I do 73.21, okay, so this 3 is in the ones place. It's in this 1 to 9 category. This 7 isn't really a 7, it's 7D, okay, and that would be in the tens place. Now, this 2, its 0.2 would be in the tens place, the 1 to 9, and this is actually 0.21, and that would be in the this 1 would be in the tens place. So a lot of times it's going to ask you to identify numbers in what place it is. They'll ask you to round up, round down, basing on where the number is. But you just have to remember, anything in the first place to the right of the decimal is in the tenths. This 1 is in the hundredths. If there's a 7 here, that would be in the thousands. Okay. And if you think about it, what that would mean is this 2 is 2 over 10. That 1 is 1 over 100. And that 7 is 7 over a thousandths. So those numbers are in those places, the tenths, hundreds, thousands. On the other side, you guys are probably familiar with the ones place, tens place, hundreds place, things like that. Okay. Because what we're going to ask you to do is sometimes on a test is going to ask you to put decimals in order from the smallest to the biggest. That's called ordering. And let me try to show you. I'm going to have to go above here. I'm going to erase this up here and I'll show what I mean by that. We'll start with 2. So it's called ordering. So if you have 0.2, 0.4, and 0.6, it's going to ask you to put those from the smallest to the largest. Okay. So basically, the smallest is going to be the 2. So you write 0.2, 0.4, 0.6. So that's really when they say ordering, you have to put it from the smallest decimal if it's asking, or the largest. It depends how it asks it. Sometimes it might say from largest to smallest. Sometimes it might say from smallest to largest. You just have to read the question. But that's what ordering means. You're putting in the decimals based on how big they are. Like if I took these away, these decimals, you guys, it'd be easy. You'd say 6 is the biggest, 4, 2. Okay. Basically the same thing with the decimal. Don't let the decimal fool you, okay? And what I'm going to do today, you guys, I'm going to give you some visual ordering where, for example, just so you get an idea, if we have, let me just do, I'm going to try to make this into 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And say three in this one. Oh, say 3 are filled in. Okay. And then you're going to have 1 right below it. And I don't know what happened to my screen. I apologize. Oh, here it is. We'll put 1 right next to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll do this in a different color so it's a little easier to see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is out of 10, remember. So how many of the 10s are filled in? This one would be 3 out of 10. This one would be 6 out of 10. So it's going to ask you which one of these ones would go, which one is larger. And obviously it's going to be the 6/10 is bigger than the 3/10. So 3/10 would be the smallest one. So it asks you to do it from the smallest to the largest. You would do 3/10 is the smallest, 6/10 is the largest. Okay. So really, you guys, we're going to keep reviewing fractions, but I just wanted to kind of go over some of the stuff might be a review for you guys, which is fine. I think it's good, but I do want to try to incorporate some of those word problems. And that is, you know, sometimes that trips people up because when you do maybe fractions or decimals on the task test, you guys know your fractions, you know your decimals, but sometimes they put those words in there that you're not familiar with. You know, it's the finding the sum is you're going to add those numbers together. Finding the difference means you're going to subtract the numbers. Finding the quotient means you're going to divide. And finding the product means you're going to multiply. So it's, you know how to do the decimals and the fractions, but sometimes those words kind of, we're not sure exactly what they mean. That's why I wanted to kind of go over those. So I'll put some work up for you guys to practice, and we'll pick this up again on Friday. So, and I'll try to post maybe a video or something tomorrow for you guys. All right. Have a wonderful day.